In lesson 4-6, you are going to learn partial products multiplication. Here is just another way for you to multiply multi-digit numbers. Go ahead and grab your whiteboard marker, eraser, and your math journal as we begin the lesson. On your whiteboard, you're going to go ahead and number 1, 2, and 3. You're going to round the number 4,307,444 to the nearest million, then that same number to the 10,000s place, and then the thousands place. Go ahead and complete this on your whiteboard and pause your video at this time. If we take 4,307,444 and round it to the nearest million, I notice that the neighbor to the right, is 4 less. I'm going to let the 4 rest. Rounded to the nearest million is 4 million. To the nearest 10,000, the number in the 10,000s place is a 0. Look one to the right, 5 or more, raise the score. So rounded to the nearest 10,000 would be 4,310,000. And rounded to the nearest 1,000, 1 to the right is 4 less, we let it rest. Rounded to the nearest 1,000 would be 4,307,000. That's all we're going to do on our whiteboard for today. You're going to go ahead and go to your math journal page. You're going to open to journal page 119. At the top, it's talking about painting Helen's sidewalk. Helen wants to paint the sidewalk for her block party. She needs to know the area of the sidewalk, so she'll know how much paint to buy. The sidewalk is 5 feet wide by 660 feet long. What is the area of Helen's sidewalk? Well, we know partitioning a rectangle, if we put 5 feet on the side for the width and take 660, the value of the 6 is 600, the first 6, and the value of the second 6 is 60. So in this case, we would take 6 times 5 is 30 and add 2 zeros on. 6 times 5 is 30 and add 1 0 on. If I add those two numbers together, 3,000 plus 300, my area would be 3,300 square feet. Now what we're going to do is introduce another way to do that same multiplication problem, but think of it just a little bit different. So at the bottom of page 119, it says the mayor wants to beautify part of the highway by planting marigolds. She wants to plant 4 marigolds along every foot of the highway for an entire mile, or 5,280 feet. How many marigolds will she need? Draw a partitioned rectangle to represent the problem. Then use partial products multiplication to record your work in a simpler way. So if you remember how we did partitioning of the rectangles, we drew a rectangle. So you're going to do this on journal page 119. You'll take the 4 marigolds on the side and then take 5,280, and let's take each place value and multiply it. So I'm going to divide that. The value of the 5 is 5,000. The value of the 2 is 200. And the value of the 8 is 80. I could do the 0, but that doesn't change it because anything times 0 is 0. So this is why we started off the very beginning of the year with place values, so you understood more complex mathematical problems. So here we're just going to go ahead and multiply. 5 times 4 is 20, and 1, 2, 3 zeros behind it. 4 times 2 is 8 with 2 zeros. 4 times 8 is 32 with 1 0. We will then go ahead and add up all of those three numbers. So when I added up those numbers, my answer was 21,120. Now I'm going to teach you what's called the partial products using that same problem, 5,280. Go ahead and write this in your math journal on the bottom of page 119. What I'm going to do is the same thing I did over here, except for I'm going to take out all of the boxes and make it a little more compact. So I'm going to take the 4 times the value of the 5. So 4 times 5 we know is 20. Then there are 3 places after the 0. I'm going to add the 3 zeros. Same thing as I have over here. The next time I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to take the 4 times the value of the 2. Same thing as I have over here. 4 times 2 is 8 with 1, 2 zeros behind it. 800. Just what I have over here. And lastly, I'm going to take the 4 times the 80. Notice that's what I did over here. 4 times 8 is 32, and then 1 more 0 behind it. In other words, 4 times 80 is 320. And then I would take the 4 times the 0, which is 0. Go ahead and add all of those up. And guess what? I get the same answer. We're going to go ahead and move to your next journal page. We're going to try a few of these together. So our first problem is 54 times 7. So with partitioning of rectangles, this is journal page 120, by the way. And we're going to take 54 times 7. We'll put the 7 here. And this is where I'm getting the problem from. The value of the 5 in 54 is 50. The value of the 4 is 4. Now I go ahead and I multiply. 7 times 5 is 35 and 1 0 added on. 7 times 4 is 28. Now I will go ahead and add those two numbers together. Now what I'm going to do is complete that same problem, but do it partial products, condensing it. So I'm going to go ahead and take my 7 times 5. So I'm going to start furthest to my left. So take that single digit 7 and go furthest to your left, your largest place value, which is the 5. The value of 5 is 50. So I take 7 times 50, 350. Same thing as here. Now I take the 7 times the 4. 7 times 4 is 28. I will add those two numbers together. And guess what? I get the same product. So it is the exact same thing as partitioning, except for it condenses it and makes it a little bit quicker to do. Let's try some more problems. On the bottom of page 120, I'm going to take the problem 542 times 7. Going to go ahead and make a rectangular box. I'm going to think of 542 as the value of the 5, which is 500, plus the value of the 4, 40, plus the value of the 2, 2. Go ahead and divide those up. And this is where those multiplication facts are crucial for a quick recall. Going to take 7 times 5, which is 35, with 2 zeros behind. Next one, 7 times 4 is 28, 1 0 behind. 7 times 2 is 14. Now I'm going to go ahead and add all of those numbers up together. Again, at any point in time, if I'm moving too quickly, that's the beauty of these videos, is you can pause it or rewind if you miss something. Our answer is 3,794. Now, I'm going to do that same problem, but with partial products. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my 7 times the largest place value, the 5. 7 times 500 is 3,500. Same thing. Then I take it to the next largest place value, the 4. 7 times 40 is 280. Same as this. And lastly, the smallest place value, 7 times 2, 14. I add all of those numbers up to get an answer of 3,794. So as you begin to do this, I want you to figure out which one works best for you. So we're going to move on to our next journal page. On page 121, this time it's asking us just to use the partial products. So you're going to have to think about the value of each place value, each number in its place value. So the first thing we're going to do is take 6 times the largest place value. 6 times 40, because the value is 40. 6 times 40 is 240, or in other words, 6 times 4 with 1 0 behind it. Then 6 times 7 is 42. I add those numbers together. The answer is 282. 635 times 9, number 4. First thing we're going to do is take 9 times the value of the 6. 9 times 600, or in other words, 9 times 6 with 2 zeros behind it because there are 2 place values that follow it. 6 times 9 is 54 with 2 zeros behind it, or 600 times 9 is 5,400. Next, I'll take 9 times the value of the 3. 9 times 30 is 270, or 9 times 3 is 27 with 1 0 behind it. And lastly, the last place value, 9 times 5 is 45. I go ahead and add all 3 columns together. The answer is 5,715. Moving down the page, 2 last problems. I have 1,284 times 8. I start with 8 times my largest number, largest place value, the 1. 8 times 1,000 is 8,000. Next, I am going to take the 8 times the next place value. 8 times 200 is 1,600, or 8 times 2 is 16 with 2 zeros behind it. Write that again. The next one would be 8 times the value of the second 8, which is 80. 8 times 80 is 640. And lastly, 8 times 4 is 32. I'm going to add all of those up. To get an answer of 10,272. And lastly, 4,006 times 5. Take the 5 times the value of the 4. 5 times 4,000 is 20,000. Or 5 times 4 is 20 with 1, 2, 3 zeros behind it. I could take 5 times 0 and put a 0 there, but that doesn't matter. So I'm going to move to the next number that I'm actually going to get up an answer other than 0, and that would be 6 times 5 is 30. You go ahead and add all of those together, you get 20,030. You're going to give a try at partial products today.